Hey everyone, Carlos here from ADifficultTruth. This story actually first came to my attention through a Facebook post my girlfriend sent me, and then I see this article from The Independent. It does have contributions from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, the Washington Post, and Newsweek. I'll leave the link in the description below so you guys can check out the full article yourselves. But let me bring this up for you guys here. Workers at a Royal Dutch Shell plant in Pennsylvania were forced to choose between attending a speech by Donald Trump or earning less than their co-workers who did. Attendance was optional, but contract workers who chose not to stand in the crowd would not qualify for time and a half pay when they arrived at work on Friday, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reported. Workers at the unfinished Pennsylvania petrochemicals complex had to arrive at 7 a.m., scan their ID cards, and stand for hours until the U.S. president's speech began. So let me get this straight. These workers were forced to come to this speech, which, according to the Washington Post, ended up being more like a campaign rally, of course, at 7 a.m., have to stand for hours, and then wait until this guy starts speaking. If they don't, that's perfectly okay. They just won't get that overtime pay, and I'm sure most of these workers need this. So it's basically mandatory. Quote, "No scan, no pay," a supervisor for one of the contractors wrote to workers. The contractor's memo also banned yelling, protesting, or anything viewed as resistance at Mr. Trump's speech, according to the newspaper. So they weren't even allowed to express any kind of discourse or anything like that towards the president. I mean, this is, for all the cries that the right does about Venezuela and all this stuff. You know, President Maduro and Chavez before him used to force workers to come and stand in his speeches for hours. I mean, what's the difference between the government forcing you to do this and a company forcing you to do this? I mean, it's all the same. This is extremely disgusting and disturbing. An underlying theme of the event is to promote goodwill from the unions, the document said. Your building trades leaders and job stewards have agreed to this. And then you wonder, and I'm pro-union, I believe that they're essential and that they're needed, but you wonder why they get such a bad rap. Several companies with thousands of unionized workers have contracts with Shell, one of the largest oil and gas companies, and I'm assuming one of Donald Trump's huge donors. The Washington Post was unable to immediately reach Shell or the plant's unions for comment on Saturday. Then the article goes on to point out how Trump gets angry and goes on Twitter storms about every time people go out and protest him. It mentions the 2017 protest about the Muslim ban. It mentions the protests of the Brett Kavanaugh nomination, that they were paid professionals. And here we have basically paid people to stand in his crowd. Like, they're forced to stand in his speech. And for a guy who boasts about his numbers, crowd sizes particularly, he just never misses an opportunity to say he has the biggest crowds, whether it's speeches, campaign rallies, his inauguration. It seems to me like all these might be artificially inflated. The president's speech on Tuesday felt at times like a campaign rally, the Washington Post reported. Between remarks about U.S. energy production, Mr. Trump urged the workers to support his re-election and complained about his perceived enemies, the media, of course, the Democrats running for president, and the Academy Awards? Okay. About 5,000 workers attended the speech, according to Newsweek. You mean, let me correct that for you. You mean were forced to attend this speech. Shell spokesman Ray Fisher told the Post-Gazette that workers at the plant have a 56-hour work week, which includes 16 hours of overtime pay. So workers who showed up on Tuesday were paid for the week at a higher rate. Another Shell spokesman, Curtis Smith, said workers who chose to skip the rally received paid time off, which does not count as hours worked and therefore does not trigger overtime pay. So, cool. You have to waste your PTO, which, by the way, is supposed to be used for vacation, and you don't get the overtime pay. This is disgusting. Mr. Trump's speech was treated as a training that differed from other training sessions only in that it included a guest speaker who happened to be the president, Mr. Smith said. We do these several times a year with various speakers, he told Newsweek. The morning session, 7 to 10 a.m., included safety training and other work-related activities. Ted Broadbent, business manager for the union Steamfitters Local 449, said his workers respect Mr. Trump for his title, regardless of whether they liked or disliked him. Well, gee, I guess we never know because they're not allowed to express their opinion or protest. Anyone who did not want to work on the day of Mr. Trump's speech could skip it. They just don't get paid for it. They just don't get that overtime pay. This is just what Shell wanted to do, and we went along with it, Mr. Broadbent said. This is the business manager for that union, so they just bent the knee. Unions are supposed to fight for workers. I mean, the whole point of a union is to be able to have the workers, is to be able to give power to the workers. Why would you force these people to sit there and stand at a campaign rally, basically, to artificially inflate the president's crowd numbers? I mean, it's very obvious that this president is not for the working class. I mean, the fact that you have to force these people to stand there should say something. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell so that you get notifications when our videos go live for you. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/ADifficultTruth. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/ADifficultTruth. You can also listen to the podcast at soundcloud.com/ADifficultTruth. And now you can also follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/ADifficultTruth. We do once a week live streams, about an hour every Sunday around noon, so come be a part of the conversation. I'll leave all the links in the description below, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. See ya!